microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, back in the saddle again, and for all those folks out there on the picket lines striking, wish you the best of luck. But also, let's not be blowing up people's cars and houses either. I don't know. Joining me, old friend of the family, Daniel de Sangre. You know him from Not a Strong Start podcast. What up, Daniel? How you doing?
How's it going, man? I'm glad to be back here. Thanks for inviting me again.
Thanks for coming on, dude. Before you got on the Zoom chat here, I was on Facebook, as I usually am, and part of, a bunch of different groups, whatever. And one of the movie production groups I'm a part of has a real bone to pick with one Miss Drew Barrymore. Now, are you in any of the unions?
I'm not technically. I purposely would rather not, just so that way I still have the ability to still do like some independent projects. So I've been able to kind of do that. But I've worked on some union projects, but I try to stay off of it as much as possible until I have to. But yeah, I completely see why they're. I get it, man. And I even saw them confiscating the WJ badges of guests that were coming in and remove some of them from the audience.
That shit is crazy. So someone posted up a picture of Drew Barrymore, some movie poster she did. I don't watch all her shit. But they're like, Drew Barrymore's a scab. And I was like, guys, like, are we really going to let three members of the union shut down a project that's employing 100 people? Like this. But by the way, it's a daytime talk show, so there's no artificial intelligence being on here. These guys don't get residuals. A hamster could do their fucking job, honestly. Like, open the newspaper. That's the whole episode right there. Honestly. However, people are going crazy on my ass in this chat thread. Like, you're also a scab now. And I was like, no, actually, I hope the guys get all their demands. Like, again, AI is not good for this business. And guess what? Now that streaming's a big thing, they should be getting their residuals. But like at one point, like it's just a lot of back and forth, and these people are just like, everyone who pays their union dues apparently thinks they're a mobster now, which is also cute. So
I can understand them going into production. And when it comes to talk show hosts, like or those kind of talk shows, I don't really know, like, how much do they really require writers for that? It's not like they're going into like a movie production set, right? Like that's a little different, or TV writing. So this, I can understand if they're going into production. What's weird though is her finding, like I referenced earlier about audience members that are coming in with the WGA badges and then just removing them out of the audience. Like not only are you going into production, you're now going out of your way to remove the people that are in support of that. So you're like kind of spitting in their face twice, I guess. But I get it.
They don't want the show interrupted, I don't think that's out of line. Just no, their jobs aren't being replaced. If they want them, they'll be there when the strike ends eventually. But I also hope the strike goes on forever. We got some of the best trash TV when we did this in 2008, 2009. I forget, but I was just like, oh my god, Temptation Island is the greatest thing ever. Like,
it made us all reality TV show whores.
So, but let's not talk about the unions anymore. Let's talk about movies.
There we go.
I guess that violates our union agreement here. Anyways, we are technically still in summertime. However, summer movie season is over. From May 1st all the way up to August 31st. We honestly, I thought it was kind of a rough summer. What did you think overall?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like this summer had a lot of hype movies, or at least IP movies that were coming out, that I was pretty excited about. Compared to our last few years, this one, I'm like, man, they have, like, we're talking Indiana Jones. They even have, even though I wasn't hyped for this one at all, but even the live action Little Mermaid, like TMNT, like a new, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like, we had a whole spectrum. We even had Christopher Nolan getting in on the summer fun. It was just a wide spectrum of different movies. So I was pretty hyped for it. Watching a bunch of the movies, I kind of walked away a little lackluster about it. Like, some of them weren't as great as I wish that they would be.
Yeah, that's about right. I can tell you that I don't like to nitpick and shame movies. I think the worst movie I saw this summer was Charlie Day's Fool's Paradise.
That one I've looked at and I'm like, I don't know. It seems like they kind of regurgitated a lot of ideas. So
I mean,
you tell me, was it?
I think it would have been a funny Saturday Night Live sketch, but it's like it's a long 90 minutes or however long it was. Like, and at some
Yeah.
point you're just like, are you people like he doesn't even grunt. He doesn't make any guttural noises. He's literally just like there. And you push him in a direction and he just goes that direction. Like at some point you have to understand, like he's not speaking English, he's not speaking Spanish, he's not doing sign language. Like this guy is just like some sort of just dead vessel that just happens to be autonomous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, let's and what was the worst movie you think you saw?
So for me, the worst one was Fast X, and I say
Oh,
that because I never saw the Fast and the Furious franchise. I saw the first one,
mhm.
I saw the second one, maybe the third one at some point, and that's it. So the Fast X randomly, they had it for streaming. So me and a buddy, we started drinking and stuff, and we thought, let's have a fun time watching this.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh my God, it was just excruciating. I'm like, why is there a giant fan base for this? And part 7 I saw was like in the top 20 highest grossing films of all time. I'm like,
Yeah.
how? How? But maybe that one's better. I don't know.
That one is when they started dipping in quality, but the reason why it entered the $1 billion club was Paul Walker just died. And everyone's like, "Oh,
Mm,
how are they going to handle that? Are they going to kill him off? Like, what
yeah,
this?
that makes sense.
How'd they CGI him? Blah blah blah. Like that is it's definitely not the better ones. Of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast Five is the best one.
Mm,
But
okay.
my favorite is part 6, and there is a difference. But I would
Okay.
say go to part 5. That's where they like, yeah, we've been doing the whole street racing thing, but like,
Mm.
what if we just did Ocean's 11 with cars? And we'll leave the cars
Yeah.
out of it, kind of, but Ocean's
Yeah.
11, and that's when
Okay.
it started getting fun. And then the Rock's in
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah. He's
um,
always good.
I saw Fast X. I was looking forward to Fast X. I know there's supposed to be a Fast X 2. I don't know why we can't just have Fast 11, but
Yeah.
Fast X 2. And I left disappointed because they left it on a cliffhanger. It's like, really? That's how you end this thing?
Yeah.
We sat here for 2.5 hours, and that's what you're giving us?
Yeah.
Uh, so I was disappointed with the Fast X as well. But let's get
Okay.
into some good stuff here. Let's
Yeah.
see. In no particular order, I was absolutely impressed with Gran Turismo.
Okay.
Gran Turismo, it's based on a true story. Yes, they've altered some details for drama, but it's very simple. Gran Turismo is a video game, and it's a video game in this movie. And some marketing guy at Nissan one day discovered the game. He's like, "This is the most amazing game ever. We should make a contest. Let's take 10 of the best gamers and put them on a real rocket ship and see what happens." And it's crazy, man. Like they again, there's some stuff added for drama, but then they like lean into like, hey, you stupid gamer, you could literally like spontaneously combust if you don't turn right on this car correctly. Like and there's a couple accidents, and some people like just fireball. That's it. Like
Yeah.
it's almost cartoony the way this one car just engulfs in fire. It's just like holy shit. Jamon Hansu's in it. Ginger Spice is also in it for some reason. They play the main
Really? Oh.
character's parents. And
Ginger spice.
Ginger Spice, apparently she's actually married to a real race car driver. It's like, oh, this makes sense. Like,
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, the whole time I was like, why? One, I was like, she looks super familiar because I didn't put the two together till I checked IMDb later. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that was Ginger Spice. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kid who plays the main character, real name is Archie. I forget what the character's. Oh, the character's name is like Jan Marlborough. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, uh, fantastic story. I kind of wanted to see more actually, and as long as that was, I was like, I could go for more of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the funny thing about it is, despite being based on a true story, it's pretty similar to The Last Starfighter. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that one from my
Yeah.
childhood. Yeah. I know it was directed by at least the Gran Turismo. It was done by Neil, right? Neil Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp. Yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Good.
it was
Yeah.
good to see him do a movie that was actually good. Um,
Yes.
I didn't see Elysium. I missed the robot in South Africa. I get why people like District 9, but that kind of
Yeah.
seemed to be where like he just until this, that was like the only movie he actually did that was good.
Yeah.
left
Like
and right.
District 9. I like District 9 when it came out because I watched it before like the hype kind of came up with it. And I just saw like a young director with raw talent, and I kind of see what he was going for. It was a very simple, stripped down version. And then the hype kind of came in and it built up his reputation sometimes unfairly. So then you have like these high expectations, when you're coming out with your next movie, and yeah, and we kind of see what happened there. So it's kind of nice that he's doing something like this that you can kind of rebound off of, hopefully.
I had a buddy whose uncle is an actor and was apparently the fourth build in District 9. And then like 90% of his scenes are cut out of the movie. So like he just does like a news briefing that's on the TV on the wall in the background. And when he asked his uncle's like, doesn't that piss you off? He's like, I got paid the same. I get paid the same either way. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
He's still getting his residuals. But
yeah.
All right. What's on your list there, buddy?
All right. So one, again, no particular order, but I went with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So
that was good.
I was a huge fan of the first one. The things that they did with the animation, I really love how and with this one, they just really tackled that again. I still like the first one a little better, but I think it's like a little unfair in the sense where it felt fresher, of course, so when you're kind of seeing the, a retreat of the same one, but it was really good. My only knock for it was they set it up as like a part 2. And I guess that's what they were going for. But anytime you get something like that, there's always a little bit of like like what you said with Fast X. Like, I'm cool with there being a second part, but you still have to have some sense of a conclusion of your story. And when you don't, and you just kind of leave it sort of drifting in midair, it kind of feels like a season finale. And it's just, like television more than anything. And now with the whole strike, and now, I know they were supposed to release it in March. That's obviously not going to happen. Like, what do we have to do? Wait another 2 years before we find the conclusion of this one?
If the strike keeps going that long, absolutely we do. Again, I also left Spider-Verse Part 2 with just disappointment. Like, again, I liked everything until we got to the end. And it was like a cliffhanger again. What the that first one that won the Academy Award for best animated feature. So yeah, I knew there was going to be 2 more movies. That was a gimme. I don't think I was aware they were trying to do a 1 and 2 or whatever. But when we got to that cliffhanger, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, however, I loved the animation style. Love that they brought in so many different animation styles. Like, they definitely upped the ante on the style. Like at one point there's a vulture character who's like just made out of paper mache. It was like, that's fucking dope.
That was awesome.
It looks great, and then it somehow blends in. Gwen Stacy's all watercolors, and it just I don't know how they did it, but it looked really good. It looked really good.
It did. It kind of reminded me like what they did with Spider-Verse. At least it kind of reminds me a little bit of what they did with Pirates of the Caribbean. You know how the first the Curse of the Black Pearl came out. It was awesome. It did great. And then they came out with part 2 and 3, but it was part 1A. And then, you have your part, or at least 2A and 2B. That's how this one kind of felt. I don't like it when they do that. Like, you got to give us some kind of an ending or a conclusion to it. Because even, comparing it to like Star Wars with Empire, there was still a conclusion to Empire. Even though you clearly set it up for Return of the Jedi, they still closed out some storylines. So you felt like you still had some kind of ending.
Same thing with Avengers Infinity War. Like, there's definitely a cliffhanger, and it's setting up for the next what was Endgame. However, that movie has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Our heroes didn't win, unfortunately, but that still has an ending. Like, there could have been no Endgame, and I'd be like, wow. That shit was insane.
That would have been amazing. That would have been so ballsy, and I would have freaking loved it. Just because of that, I'm like, man, you went in a direction that none of us would have ever called. That was awesome. Yeah.
And I guess that's for the reason why my next movie is going to be Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, or AKA Mission Impossible Part 7, Part 1. Here's what they did differently, though. They actually left you with an ending. There's still a cliffhanger. The bad guy gets away. Esai Morales is a bad motherfucker.
Yes, he is.
But it still had a conclusion. Tom Cruise slips on a bar of soap tomorrow, breaks his neck and dies, eats some bad shrimp, and just his throat closes. Like, we don't have to worry about what happens in part 8. Like, like, man, I wish they were still making those Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, but I guess he's dead. So what are you gonna do? and as long as it was, again, I'm into it. It's a Tom Cruise movie, so the stunts are all spectacular. And the weird thing about Mission Impossible, the series, is since part 3, they have been getting progressively better, despite being the same goddamn movie. Like Fast and Furious keeps getting a lot of shit for being the same movie. This is the same movie every time. Like,
yes,
something happens, some bad guy does some bad thing. Tom Cruise somehow gets blamed and kicked out of the Mission Impossible group, and then has to save the day. And then they're like, "Oh, maybe you're not such a bad guy after all, Tom Cruise. How'd you like to join us again?" Every time, it's always the same.
I had that one as an honorable mention. It didn't make my top 3, but it was definitely my 4th one.
Okay.
It's exactly what you said, man. It keeps building up on itself, like, and you keep thinking, it's the same movie, but like, how are they gonna beat it? You casted Superman as the villain, and it was like, of course. And then in this one, you get S.A. Morales, who I just freaking love as an actor. Like, he's so underutilized, and in this movie, he was badass, man. And they didn't give him a ton necessarily to do, but I love that because it keeps his character kind of mysterious, and that there's a part 2. So we know we're gonna get more of his character in the second one, but now you have a bad guy that's like AI, essentially. Like AI is a bad guy. That's pretty cool, man.
I was definitely chuckling during the screening. I was like, "Oh, little art imitating life here." That's very funny.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so meta right now. Yeah, and the whole train, that action set piece, because it feels like with each of these movies, it's all about the set piece, right? Like, that's usually how you say, wait, which one's part 4? Part 4 is one where he's clung into the thing. It's like, oh, that's right. You usually mention the set piece to get reminded about what movie that is. This one, definitely that train, man. It reminded me of the Lost World Jurassic Park. Remember that? Where they had like the hanging.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. We had like the cracking glass and the 2 T-Rexes that were attacking like that long bus, that double bus, and it was hanging down. It reminded me a little bit like that, but it was great, man.
They did a similar thing in Fast 7, where a bus is dangling off a cliff, and Paul Walker, rest in peace, has to literally burrow under the bus, climb out through the driver's window, and then climb up the bus, and then run his ass off with the grippiest shoes in the world before the thing just falls off a cliff. Oh, and then somehow Michelle Rodriguez like does a skid, and he manages to grab the spoiler fin, and that's how Paul Walker does not die in this movie.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I liked Mantis in it. She was great in it.
She was really good.
Yeah, Ellen Pompey, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, she's
like
got
that,
a hard name to pronounce, but I forget. Did she survive, or did she end up just like dying of poison or something?
She died, but then they said at the very end she had some kind of breath or something like that, because I think they're trying to form the all-female, agents. That's kind of what they're hinting at. So I'm like, okay, you got
the Impossible Mission Club. Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm into it.
Yeah, so I might as well segue that to my next one. So the one I had was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I felt like the first one I freaking loved. I love the first one so much. The second
thing is
one,
magic.
It really is. The second one, good, but it took a big step back. Like, yeah, it wasn't great, and especially compared to the other ones. But like, I hold the first one so highly. The third one was really great. I still like the first one overall the most, but again, it goes back with that freshness. But the third one did such a great job, I felt like, closing out that storyline. And they really, James Gunn did a really good job sort of walking away from Marvel, going into his new DC position. But I thought he did really good with the third one, man. He really knew how to pull the heartstrings, the sentimental stuff with it. And when you get, Baby Rocket's backstory, like you're sitting there watching, it's like, I know they're cartoons, but damn you, James Gunn, you're pulling on my heart, man.
Yeah. I'm with you, Lou. Like that second one, I don't know if it necessarily took a step back, but at some point I was like, all right, guys, this is very pretty, but this movie ended 20 minutes ago. Can we can we roll credits now? Also, like, I'm in the minority of people who do not give a shit about Michael Rooker. He's a good actor, I get it, but him and Ron Perlman, I just don't give a shit. Like, they're not a driving force for me, and quite frankly, like I got really tired of the "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." Like, Guardians 3 though, great goddamn movie, and like the villain is intense and terrifying, and a lot of people are triggered by the animal torture, and I'm just like, well, bad guys do bad things. All right, so like this, if he was torturing humans, I would feel equally awful about it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I am just a monster. However, was a great movie. It came in just under time. The way it ended is good. I guess we're gonna get another Guardians-ish movie in theory. Just
That
won't be with James Gunn.
Yeah, that's what they're hinting at. And then Star-Lord's getting his own as well. So I'm imagining it's not with James Gunn as well, obviously, because he has this, deal set up with DC,
Mhm.
which I think locks him down for 5 years. I thought I saw something like that.
Mm.
I might be wrong. It might be 3 years or something, but I know
Oh,
it's
I
like a
think he's
certain
there to
period.
stay
Yeah,
until
yeah.
the next regime comes in and cans him. I think he's there to stay.
At the rate that they're going, who knows how long that's gonna be, right?
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Seriously.
yeah.
You got any now that James Gunn is at DC, like any anticipation for the Superman movie he's doing, or you're just like, I gotta wait
Superman,
and
like,
see.
yeah, because it's not even him. It's just Warner Brothers in general. Like they have just completely butchered. They don't know what they're doing. They weren't
Mhm.
letting the filmmakers do their thing. So I'm imagining that they're gonna let James Gunn do his thing. But if you look at Twitter, that DC fan base, they are so rabid, man. Like they're very,
Oh
very
God.
toxic. You have the Snyder fans, which like just let it go, man. Like let it
Yeah.
go. Like Zack Snyder moved on and he did, Rebel Moon or whatever, So it's like just
Mhm.
move on, man.
Has that come out yet?
Not yet. That one's supposed to be coming out by the end of the year, so that one should be
Okay,
coming
but
out
it is a
soon.
Netflix movie, right?
Yeah, yep,
Okay,
Netflix
all
movie.
right, gotcha. I kept hearing about it, and I kept hearing people talk about it, and I was like, well, I'm out of the country right now, and I don't have access to my Netflix, so but completely forgot about it until you just mentioned it.
Yeah,
So
so for those that don't know anything about it, he was basically doing a Star Wars movie, and
hmm.
then Disney was like, "Okay, thank you, but no." So he's like, "All right, well, fuck you. I'm gonna make my own movie then." So there's a lot of so when you watch the trailer or at least the teaser trailer, there's a
Mhm,
lot of obviously Star Wars influence that's there, but
mhm,
it's obviously he had his own spin and creating his own world with it. So who knows? End up being a hit, maybe.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um, my last movie again in no particular order, but I think this is actually probably the best movie I've seen all summer. I think it's in the conversation for best movie of the year. We still got
Mhm.
4 more months to go, so maybe
Yeah.
something better will come out. The Dumb Money could be the greatest movie ever in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I'm talking about the Barbie movie. I was ready to dismiss this. At first, I was going to try and do the Barbie Oppenheimer double feature, but after
No.
seeing Oppenheimer, it was 3 hours long with trailers, and I was just
Yeah.
exhausted. And I was like, you know what? I can wait for it to come on HBO or whatever. I don't care. And then
Yeah.
something really weird happened, Daniel. There's the obvious insecure neckbeards out there that like this movie is trying to tear down men. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I was expecting to see you guys there, but then like
Yeah.
saw some housewife pop in. It's like Barbie's trying to tell me like I can't make my dinner for my husband, and I like it. And I was like, you do you, bitch. No one's telling you not to make dinner.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just make some dinner and fold the laundry too, please. Like no one's
Yeah.
saying that shit.
Yeah.
But then I saw one thing where a friend of mine, I haven't seen her in forever. If anything, I would have said this movie was for her. I don't know if she would call herself a feminist, but she's very rah rah girl power, and
Hmm.
she goes to all the marches and all that shit. And the Monday after the movie's debut, there was just a
Hmm.
one post on her Facebook and said "fuck Barbie." And I was like,
Oh
really?
no.
Now I have to see what this is.
Yeah.
Now I have to see
Yeah.
what's going on here. So I saw the first Monday screening. Um, it was about 8 o'clock or whatever. This is a Monday night. The Regal 2-3 blocks from me, they almost never have an audience. Like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie will draw a big crowd, but
Yeah.
this place was sold out. The previous screening was sold out to the point where like custodians were like took like an extra 20 minutes to clean the theater. That's how many people they had there.
Jeez. Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to talk shit to them, but I was just made a little joke because I've never seen you guys that busy. I've been coming here since literally day 2 since this place has been open. He's like, yeah, every screening since Friday has been sold out. Like 4 different theaters. And I was like, what? It's like we sold 3,000 tickets today alone. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So
Jesus.
yeah, there was men and women all dressed in pink. There were chicks dressed like Barbie. There were guys dressed like Ken. all ages, all demographics, orientations, shapes and sizes. Like everybody was at this fucking movie. So I popped some mushrooms and I fucking let
Yeah.
all the colors do the work for me.
Oh my
And
god.
I was wildly impressed, dude. I found this to be a super entertaining film. I found it very funny. Yeah, men do get their get a finger wagging at, but women do too, and so
Hmm.
do little children. And
Hmm.
I found, and then we get into like Matrix type shit where we're like, Barbie meets her creator. You know, like it gets into like all sorts of weird stuff, death and life and questioning purpose. And even if this is my purpose, should this be my purpose? Could I not have another purpose? You know, like got into some really, really deep stuff. During America Ferrera's monologue, I heard a couple women go like, "Amen, sister," and then I heard a couple dudes go, "Amen, sister," and I was like, all right, everybody, let's settle
Yeah.
down."
Yeah.
But it's a cultural phenomenon. I was in the Netherlands a few weeks ago. Ended up seeing Barbie again on mushrooms, but I had seen a Nick Cage movie just prior to that. They do the mystery movie gimmick over there as well.
Okay.
So I
Nice.
was just like, okay, this isn't just some funny Dutch movie called Mystery Movie, is it? Like this is
Yeah.
actually a movie you guys don't know. Like, we don't know this. All right, fine. Bumped into some guys checking into the hotel, and they're like, "Ah, you part of this party over here?" It's like, no, I just came from movies. Like, I bet you saw Barbie. And I was like, no, but I probably would have had a better time other than this Nick Cage movie. He's like, we were in Rotterdam last month, and everybody was dressed in pink. And I was like, fucking worldwide phenomenon, dude.
Yeah.
So I think this is I think I've given this the strongest rating of the year so far. Like I know I gave it 5 out of 5 on the Waffle Box podcast. While I liked Gran Turismo, I was kind of done with it after the next day. But Barbie is still on my mind now. So
Nice.
I think that's the best movie I've seen this summer, the Barbie movie.
Nice, man. That definitely watching it on shrooms, like I absolutely need to do that
Yeah, you
because
do.
the bright colors, like Greta Gerwig is good, man. Like when I
Yeah.
saw her on Friends, in Francis Ha, I don't know if
Mhm.
you've seen that movie, but
Mm-mm.
she was phenomenal. Yeah, I liked her in that movie. And with what Barbie represents, I like what the movie represents. I like what it's doing. Like for you said, those men, those finger wavers, it's
Mhm.
like it's so annoying because when I saw the movie, I didn't see it as them just bashing men and
Right.
the masculinity and the toxicity of being a man. I didn't
Mhm.
necessarily see it like that. I saw it as something else, and like you said, they bash women just as much. Because women were also becoming a product of this, and you can almost look at it and step outside of it and see it as almost like a metaphor for like social media and
Mhm.
just how people are branding themselves as these influencers now. And in a sense, they're becoming like these Barbies. You're living this little plastic bubble. Everything's so fake. So there's so many deeper meanings behind this than just genders, in my opinion. So I like the Barbie movie. I had it under disappointed a little bit. Not
Okay.
again, I still like the movie. I still like the movie. It's just I watched it a couple weeks afterwards and it got so hyped that I was like, okay. I love what it's doing. I want to come in here and I want to love this
Mhm.
movie. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, I really wish they did a few things a little different. Like I really wanted to see more Michael Cera, man. Michael
Yeah,
Cera as
right.
Alan. He was so damn good in it. Will Ferrell, I felt like, okay, I've seen this version of Will Ferrell. I saw
Mhm.
him in the Lego movie. I've seen this version of him done many times. Like it didn't feel necessarily fresh or original.
No.
I did like what they were bringing though with Barbie, and they had like the weird Barbie where she's like, with the
Mm.
shoe, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna take that one. They had a lot of funny, good setup and jokes. I thought America Ferrera was really good. That was
Mhm.
probably the more interesting storyline to me when I was watching that movie.
All right.
Ryan Gosling was really good, and then they kind of took him away, and I was like, I wanted to see more of his character, you know. So it's just a lot of it, man. So it wasn't anything wrong with it. It just got hyped so much
I've been
that
there.
when I
I've been
sat
there.
down and I watched it, that's the only thing that I had for that one. But again, the movie, everything you said was great. Watching on shrooms, I need to try it that way because I think it would be so good. It'd be sort of like watching Willy Wonka, where you
Yeah,
see all
right.
the crazy color. Yeah, it feels
Dude,
kind of
when
like
we
that.
get to the war on Malibu Beach, like
Yeah.
I'm losing my fucking mind. And then all of a sudden, like just they start doing the Care Bear stare, and then there's a dance number, and I was like, this is the craziest fucking movie I've ever seen here. Um, I laughed a lot of parts because I was like, oh, I've done that. Oh, I've done that. Well, I'm doing that right now. The long
Yeah.
distance, non-committal, short-term girlfriend. Like, I got one of those.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, man. So the third one that I had is I had to go Oppenheimer with this, and
Okay.
it's not a perfect movie for me, but I'll explain why I really enjoyed it and why it fits
Okay.
in my top three summer. Christopher Nolan, I love Christopher Nolan. In my opinion, Christopher Nolan, Tenet was kind of I don't even want to say a miss, but it was a miss in his regard, right? Because he did Interstellar, then he did Dunkirk, then he did Tenet, and it felt like with Tenet there was so much homework you had to do, where
Mm.
you watch the movie. At least for me, I stepped away and I'm like, okay, I don't understand a lot of what happened. Then I had to read up about it. And then it was like, okay, then I had to go back and watch. And it's like, well, how the
Oh
hell am
God.
I supposed to know when they're wearing this on their arm that is going forward or that's going back? How the hell am I supposed to know that without reading up on it? It felt like
Mm.
homework. And it felt like, to some regard, Christopher Nolan is so smart that he's like just out thinking the average audience member. And it's just like now I'm getting confused and I'm getting pulled a little bit out of the movie.
Mm.
Now I'm seeing the filmmaking process and I'm not losing myself in the movie. I feel like with Oppenheimer, he came back to his roots a little bit. It was a little more
Mm.
story A, going from A to B. And then
Mhm.
he just really brought some great performances in there, like between Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, and of course Robert Downey Jr. I thought those four just absolutely crushed their parts. I thought Florence Pugh, I wanted to see more of her. She was
So did
barely in
I.
it. Man,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. But she was so damn good in what small parts she had, man. I really wish we saw more of her. And when we saw Emily Blunt, she was kind of playing the character, very safe in the beginning until the end, during the interrogation. I thought she's completely crushed it. And then I completely understood why she played her character the way that she did.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
I also enjoyed the Oppenheimer. Run times are always a big critique for me, and I didn't have a
Yep.
problem with the 3 hour runtime. However, we take out all that court drama shit, the movie could have been 2 hours and
Yep.
not a third hour. And when it comes down to like, oh, Robert Downey Jr.'s character got embarrassed in front of Einstein, and that's what's happening here. Like, I was just like,
Yeah.
that's fucking stupid. But that's
Yeah.
that's not a critique on the movie. That's just a character flaw, or personality flaw even. The only thing I don't like about Oppenheimer, and this has absolutely really nothing to do with the movie, it's more of the cult of personality for Christopher Nolan fans.
Mhm.
Christopher Nolan filmed it in IMAX, 70 millimeter. Go see it on the biggest screen possible. And like I saw it on the RPX, but if that was for some reason sold out, I would have just gone to the theater next door and watched it on the slightly big screen, not the biggest screen, the slightly big
Yeah.
screen. It's
Yeah.
like fire still looks like fire. Same
Yeah.
thing, same problem I had with Dune. Guess what? Sand on IMAX, it looks the same on your phone. It's not a big deal. But I was seeing people on Facebook talk about like, I drove 2 hours out of my way to see it on true IMAX, and I was like, you could have just gone down the street, dummy. Like, why? That's
Yeah.
that's a waste of time and gas, and then you have to go back 2 hours on the way home. Like, this doesn't have to be a field trip, stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
I
Christopher
felt the
Nolan
same
told
way.
you to watch this movie with your thumb up your butt, would you do that too? Like,
They
I
would.
bet they
They
would.
would.
I
Yeah.
bet they would.
Bec- because he even gave like a little guidance on where you should sit for the best like sound, experience. And I noticed people were sitting in those seats every time. I'm like, I felt the same way. Like it was too long. I wish it would have been shaved down a little bit because it could have been way more impactful if he just shaved off an additional like 45 minutes even. Just 45 minutes, you know what I mean? Like it would have been so much more impactful. I know what you mean with the big blast. Like when you saw it, I know some people complain, like, man, it was so quiet, and all of a sudden it comes in. It's like, well, he's building up the tension. But my
All right.
favorite scene of that whole movie was when he was in the auditorium with the people and he was blending in the sounds when he starts getting that one. I thought was superb filmmaking, the way he was bleeding and using sound
Mm-hmm.
mixing with the visuals. I thought I was like, okay, bravo on that. Because I think Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite movies from him still is still Memento.
Okay.
I freaking love Memento, man.
Yeah.
And this kind of had a little bit, like I saw little shades of it in there in terms of just playing with the perspective. And I love how tight the camera was on Cillian Murphy and just really playing with that without all the hoopla going on around it.
Just like with Memento, they keep going back and forth in time. Memento, not my favorite movie by any means, but you do get into it And then me just being me, I get super frustrated when we cut away from what's
Yeah.
happening. I was like, oh god damn it, we're right there. But that's
Yeah.
I think I'm supposed to feel that antsy
Yep.
about it. I saw Tenet not on the big screen because there was a pandemic. I didn't watch it on HBO. I saw it through the brother-in-law network. And then I heard a lot of people complain about the sound and that. Like, I can't hear what they're saying. And I don't know what edition those folks saw, because I mean, maybe I'm only 6 feet away from my TV and I watch shit with the closed captioning on, but like I had no problem understanding the dialogue. Um, Tenet, I want to say, as I'm watching it, I only watched it the one time. I want to say I completely understand what's going on, unless you ask me to explain it. And if I think about it, then I go, my brain just turns to pus. Like,
Yes. That's exactly what happened. I saw it with a friend. We walked out and I was like, okay. I felt like I kind of knew it. And then as we sat down and were eating dinner afterwards, we were trying to talk about it. And then we were just confusing each other when we were verbalizing what was going on. And it was like, okay, all right, then am I wrong? Is he wrong? Are we both wrong? Like, that's when I then started getting frustrated. Like, okay, I need to read this then. Like, I need to read up about this because in order for me to properly score a movie, I need to understand it properly. Right. Otherwise, it's not fair. That I'm giving it a disservice by rating it differently. I need to understand the point the filmmaker's telling me, and then I can rate it appropriately.
So those were our top 3 movies of the summer. Was there? We talked about what our worst movie was. Was there any that you're like, this should have been better? Do you have one of those?
Yes. So I have quite a few of those, but the one I'll go with is Asteroid City. Wes Anderson.
Yeah. I didn't see it. It looked fun.
It does look fun. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, because with Wes Anderson, I don't know what your opinions are of Wes Anderson, but he's very, obviously very stylistic, but he has a very specific style that just seems to be repeated over and over and over and over again. And when I saw Asteroid City, I'm like, okay, the premise looks interesting. Where they're setting it, it looks a little different. Give me something different here. And when I was watching it, it just felt like, man, the performances are very dry. Like, and I know that's part of the Wes Anderson thing. Like, that's part of the humor, is like the dry performances. But it's just, it becomes dull. And it's just, when you've seen something like different iterations of it, like 10, 12, 15 times, it's just like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, he definitely needs to try something different. I love what he did with Isle of Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That was the claymation.
That was
feature.
different. Yep, that was different. He did something different with that one. Yeah, exactly like that one. The Fantastic. The Fox and all that.
I missed that one. Was that any good? I don't even think I knew that was his.
Yeah. So that was his first dabble in animation. So yeah, that one. So it's not that it was a bad movie. Though it was interesting. It was just, I really wish he added some more stuff to it because he had such a phenomenal cast. And I just felt like when you're limiting people by having them not really display emotions or inflections, and they're just giving very flat performances, you lose a lot of how characters are. Like you lose their touch, of what they can bring to the table. You're kind of forcing it too much. You're a little bit too controlling of the performances that they're giving.
Jeez Louise. One movie that didn't disappoint me, but was disappointing at the box office was Joyride. And that movie was fucking hilarious. Had a fun story. It's Asian girl hangover, honestly. All right. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but it was fucking funny. However, nobody wanted to see 4 sassy Asian broads talk about taking dicks in their butt. It was
yeah. I got it. There are a couple that I liked that I didn't really hear too much about it. One of them was Flamin' Hot. Did you see Flamin' Hot?
I saw Flamin' Hot. I liked that a lot, actually.
I surprised the hell out of me. It was very stylistic with the filmmaking, but it was really funny. It had a good voice. The main character was good. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I had no expectations for that movie. And a lot of times that kind of helps enhance the movie experience, right? Is when you don't have any preconceived notions on it. And I liked it, man. I saw that one, and then No Hard Feelings, the Jennifer Lawrence one.
I heard that was funny.
it was funny. I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I walked away saying that there was a lot of moments that I laughed out loud. And what
Okay.
we talked about on our podcast is that it's sad because this current state that we're at, there's just not a lot of comedies anymore. Everybody's trying to be safe about it with this whole
Mhm.
woke culture. You have to be afraid of what you say, otherwise you can get canceled really quickly.
Right.
No Hard Feelings was able to really give us a good R-rated comedy, you know. So I enjoyed it, man. It was good.
I'm gonna have
I
to check
recommend
out
it.
the No Hard Feelings then. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
Joyride. Get again when we're talking about cancel culture and people are afraid to do things and like they go at some point. One of the girls loses her skirt and the
Yeah.
camera just pans in on her vagina, which has a giant Oni tattoo. Like it's
That's funny.
full on moose knuckle and then just a
Yeah.
giant Japanese demon just right there on her pelvis. And you're like, oh, it's not even there for a full second. I think
Yeah.
I almost peed my pants when I saw that.
That's that's hilarious, man. Yeah,
Tried to
and
watch it
no
on
Hard,
Airplane. They cut that out.
yeah. Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. On No Hard Feelings, Jennifer Lawrence has a scene where, she's skinny dipping with a character in the ocean and people take their clothes. So she runs out naked and starts beating them up. And we thought, me and my brother were watching it and we thought they like CGI'd her face onto the body, like it was a body double. We read up
Okay.
later, no, that was really her. She was really naked in the movie. And I was like,
Good for her.
hey, man, I appreciate that. She really gave it, like I appreciate when actors do that. So good for her.
I saw comedian and podcaster Bert Kreischer's The Machine. Um,
How was that?
you know what? It's much like the Barbie movie. I was ready to dismiss it, but not because it's a little girl's film. I was just like,
Yeah.
he has this one really funny story about how he ended up getting connected with the Russian mob on a college field trip to Russia.
Mm,
And the story is fucking brilliant if you ever hear it. I'll
okay.
send you a link to it if you haven't seen it. The
Yeah.
movie does something different where they take that story and then there are consequences now. Like the mob is after his ass because he told the story, and it's pretty violent. And I mean, he's a big old fat walrus, but he apparently did all his own stunts. Like when he gets slapped in the face, he took the slap. Someone punched him in the face, his tooth got knocked out. And when I'm seeing this, I'm like, knowing that you could actually do all this should have been better. Like again, I thought this was going to
Yeah.
be dog shit, but this was good, not great, but could have been a lot better. So
Yeah. Which in that regard is a win, right? Because
I guess
it
so.
shouldn't even have been that good. So the fact
Mhm.
that it was like, hey, you did pretty good, despite the fact that maybe you didn't have necessarily the most creative talent behind you behind the camera as well. So hey, that's a
Oh,
W.
it's great. Mark Hamill plays his dad,
Ooh, I
which
didn't.
is an
That's
interesting
awesome.
casting choice. And then at
Yeah.
some point, again, they're in Russia, and Dad's now hanging out with the mob and whatever. But at one point, he's like, "Dad, you look high." I was like, "Cause I am high." I was like, "What do you mean you're high?" It's like, "They gave me meth." I'm like, what? You're on meth?
Oh, damn, that's funny.
So we get into talk about woke and culture and all this stuff, and Blue Beetle confused the shit out of me. Did you see the Blue Beetle at all?
Blue Beetle is one that I need to watch. I just got
Eh.
busy and then it was already like in and out, and it's just, I feel like I have to as a service towards my people. I need to watch the Latino superhero. So I'm
Okay.
biased.
Mhm.
I'll definitely check it out, and I
Mhm.
wish it was doing well. I heard it crossed 100 million worldwide, so that's something.
It's
Still,
something.
yeah, I mean, because their marketing was crap, man. Like it seemed like they put no money towards marketing at all.
So
And
let me pose this to you then. Kush Hayes here, average white guy statement about to come up here. So you talked about shitty marketing, and you talked about like I need to see this to support my people. The whole marketing is Latino superhero, Latino superhero, Latino superhero, and
Mhm.
we're Mexican Americans, and like the entire hour 48-minute runtime, they're always like, we're Mexicans, we handle this all the time. Someone puts up a wall, we go around the wall. Like they just
Mhm.
the entire movie is just anecdotes like
Mm.
that. And the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, why are they in Miami? Well, I mean, people are everywhere, dude. People are
Yeah.
everywhere, honestly. Okay, but I was
Yeah.
like, it's usually Hollywood's like, since we're dealing with this Mexican American family, we should put them in Texas or Southern California. But like
Yeah.
Miami, why? Like, a lot of times, people are like, why aren't these Cubans? Why aren't they Dominican?
That or like Puerto Ricans, even,
or Puerto
right?
Rican, obviously because all the actors are Mexican. But I was like, why aren't they like, I could never, maybe that's my flaw. Maybe I need to be a better programming, but I was just like, what's happening there? I don't get
it. Yeah.
Other than that, though, it's a basic superhero movie. It was fine. I don't know if you need to see it, but it'll be on HBO in like a month.
That's what I figured. I'm at that point now, because I was going to the movies. I was seeing a lot of these summer movies and just kind of walking away a little disappointed. Like, and then movies are so quick now to come out for streaming. Fast X was already available for streaming like a month after it came out in theaters. Yeah. It's insane. You just wait a couple of weeks. So if you don't catch it in the first week or two, at that point you might as well just wait for streaming. That's my point. Unless it's a movie you really want to watch.
Yeah, right. It's not a bad movie. I like the main character, Zolo. I can't pronounce his last name, but the kid from Cobra Kai, like he's very good. But also, I feel bad that like this is what you waited for. Like I did a review of the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai on another podcast that doesn't exist anymore, and we were going over it like, why is this kid is the best one in the cast? Yes, why is the only one that doesn't have any extra projects going forward? Like the white guy, he did a Netflix movie and something else. Both the ladies, they had projects that I didn't even see, but he had tumbleweeds going on his IMDb page forever until this showed up.
It did, and I felt bad for that. Like what you said to me, watching Cobra Kai, he's clearly the best of the bunch of the kids. You know how you watch a show, especially when it's newcomers, you can just tell when people have it. They just have a little bit of that charm. That kid's got it. He clearly has it. So it's gratifying to hear that he held his own in the movie, at least from the feedback that I've read about or heard about it. He did well. So as long as he did well, hopefully that bleeds to him getting future projects.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Like I've gone down so many rabbit holes on IMDb, and you'd be surprised how many times just one bad movie kills a career, even if it's not their fault. And you're just like, oh, you're in that piece of shit? No, thank you.
Yeah, I know, and it's sad. Yeah,
you will not be directing
because I don't know how much you read scripts, but like I read scripts and they look good, and then I watch the movies. I'm like, oh my god, like that's how the movie ended up. Like it's bad because the script was solid, but
no, I don't get. I don't have too many scripts coming across my way. Where are you finding scripts?
You can find them online. Sometimes I have like some producer friends and stuff. So sometimes if they have some cool ones, I'll say, hey, you have anything like this? And they'll send me some stuff I can just check out and read, see how, I always like to keep refreshed. I'm a writer, so I like to read scripts a lot too on my downtime when I'm not writing.
Yeah, the last script I actually read, 1998, I somehow got a copy of Kevin Smith's Superman Returns or Superman Lives, which never became a thing at all. I heard Tim Burton literally threw it out the window. I don't know if that's true or not. But I read it, I was like, this is really good. I would like to see this movie. And then obviously nothing happened with it. And then we got that bullshit in The Flash. There's a giant spider in it for sure.
Yeah. Not his choice though. Right.
No. It's some producer Warner Bros. Was like, you gotta put the giant spider in there. I'm like, don't put the giant spider in. The Flash, not a bad movie, but not a good movie either. Exactly, but enough about that. Is there anything else you want to highlight while we're here?
No, I don't think so.
All right,
pretty much covers everything.
I think that's a good place to stop then. Not a strong start. It's on Spotify, YouTube, and all the social platforming streams. Do you guys come out on a specific day, or is it just we're out there once a week?
So we do it every Tuesday. We drop Tuesday mornings, and then Marie, our female, co-host, has her own Marie Plays It All, and she drops every Thursday mornings. And then Jose and I do a thing at the beginning of each month where we do it's called Stay Tuned, where we preview all the upcoming movies or TV that's coming out for that month.
All right. There you go. I do some things around here. You might know me from the Waffle Box podcast. It's the original Waffle Box. You accept no substitutions because it is the people's promotion, coming to you all the way from the future home of Super Bowl 60. And you love us because we do it. We do it because we love you. That's on YouTube, and it drops every Wednesday with friend of the family, Mike Fish. So for Daniel DeSangre, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, microdose, yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
Kush Hayes here, average white guy statement about to come up here.